Residency Estate is a gated community located in Old Yundum, proudly developed by Swami India, perfect for all looking for a quiet life with luxury amenities within an enclosed setting. When talking about the benefits of living in a gated community, safety and security is top on the list. They allow extra privacy, take away the hustle of unwelcome solicitors, and create a safe haven for children to play in a trusted environment without traffic or speedy vehicles. A great sense of community develops through the meeting at a controlled communal leisure facilities, offering an integrated lifestyle. A green environment and well-managed communal areas are keys to higher home standards, elevated quality of life, and better property value should you consider home reinvestment in the future. Added to all is the location, just next to the airport and reconstructed main road, yet tucked in the tranquility of nature. Our purpose is one, your satisfaction. Contact us. Let us help you build your dream home in the Gambia.
Ngaro na lawa to kuma ta baki asira linga da foko woni founding kila
hey elafta maboro la bang kalpo efa igiso eseo na yuna jang ibadin kila to kati yuna wallet ibe falindiro ke kan sandiri nyat
ni la yuna wallet to si muna fanno tulo yabo mano kandrin anim fenja ma jama isi sanno la yuna wallet to kono yalla kamo soto ila wallet to kono
alkana la konda no tay ka yuna wallet anatan tolle rukan na balwo fanondi abe sono yaren ko bulu podo nela mobile scan yo science ise maboro ke wato men diate
ko be sandro ke fangole ba ko ba ke kan dimbalem isi ñun lonko e sandro se yona enterprise wato wati ani la yona wallet to la e be lan kam soto kay la wallet to kono
alina nga kafun nanyi yuna dimbayal kan kasandiro ke yuna bitikoto ali nga kata nyi ko kentat na sulo fon lolu si sandiro kije se ma boro fanan keje
moro jundiana nyum ko di mabal ni kadeda
Assalamu alaikum baɗigol ngal bismillah na Kerr Fatou programme ton kamin ke aramisa bi ko tan ke murun tan nang studio to bi nata pour ka kacha nata ale ala wato wati ka jibela munebe kere banko kan hokol kacha of course bi ko tan ke namis to Mr. Manneh Mr. Manneh is an economist but also is a Secretary Foreign Affairs, the United Democratic Party. Mr. Manneh, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much, Fatou.
It's always an honor to have you to look at issues regarding national interest. Be cool min kachala first, kela mimbe caring pardoning. Nalne ko sango sang ning banko president ning sango banta akayam from mole mini alon ko be president and minka occasion ti ka mol jube mini alon ko a jartale ka foko the mistakes in the past come ka mo president manke for mobile wrongdoing. Some people are in the prison, to be honest, you don't think about it. Some people are there because of little crimes.
Yes.
They joined criminal table in the prison. Model BJ in enter fine Jolme for 250, 5,000, 10,000. They cannot afford it. They're in prison.
Yes.
But there are also hardcore criminals in prison. Model Mini Alonko na fululti model BJ molle fa model BJ wandi dingol le rape and all that stuff will fanan be katara prison system o konola tonya banko president e sembo soto min sango banta ka model yam fa molle ngaje nyinang ay mol yam faro ke min tara fa motan sabani worawla pari jibero nata ke kula mi alonko wala mol min yam fata ngaje I definitely, and I want to give credit to Watson Gambia because some of these things, to be honest, it only a flag. I remember Kabraf in the Mojima, we were looking at the Banjala case. And then for me, I am one person who says, look, I'm happy that Banja is released because Banja is not the only one who was involved in that scandal. And it looked like a Banja like a scapegoat. Yes. So I am happy that he's released because yes, Tonya Long corruption number the mamake. So you cannot use one person and then punish them and the other people are set free. But me along ko moma understand no. Min finta list ko na wala nga moldi mol mi yalan ko molfa. No moldi mi yalan ko wandi dingol le rape.
Yes.
No, I mean that's what the courts have decided.
Yes.
Because I can cite some of the list mi yalan ko Watson Gambia compiled, and I think this is something that in fact one of my MD friends sent me Kununko, and she was sending me all these stories of people. For example, this Mr. Pap Ibrahim Khalil Cham, she killed one girl in Kololi Fatulum. I remember this girl's family called me. I spoke to them 2 days ago, and they want to speak to us. We will give them the opportunity to speak how they feel. She was killed in 2018, just barely 5 years.
Yeah, just over.
Amari, pardon me. One farmer said he was accused of raping an aged girl in Jara.
Yes.
He was also released. Yankuba Njai kidnapped and raped a woman in Fajikunda.
Yes.
He was also released. Yahya Mbaro, the 14-year-old,
Yes.
the rape, the orphan released. Usman Balde raped a 9-year-old girl, the orphan released.
Yes.
Momodu Kamara raped a 4-year-old girl,
Exactly.
the orphan released.
Yes.
Mr. Manneh, when you see stuff like that, yesterday I was at this program, two days ago, I think we were all there, at the launching of the gender-based violence
Exactly.
hosted by the Banjul City Council.
Exactly.
The First Lady was there.
Yes.
The UNFPA representative, and I want to quote her,
Yes.
said this year, 2023 alone, they disclosed that 572 cases of gender-based violence have been reported. This is what is reported.
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 Exactly. Yes. Yes.
And, you know, just when we were talking about that, the president had already pardoned people that were accused of rape and murdering people.
Yeah.
Kununda mara ngajele isunguto minfa at the
Forex
how do you
Bureau.
call it, Westfield at the bureau.
Yes, Forex
When you
Bureau,
look at all of these things, first let's look at how do you pardon people? What is the process? Do they vet these people, or do you have the liberty to just release anybody, even if they have killed people or raped people?
Normally, the constitution of the country, 1997 constitution, Article 82,
Okay.
gives the president the prerogative of mercy. Okay, this is a survival of the right of the king or the queen to pardon, which is transposed into our constitution.
Yeah.
Right, granted, we give him the right to pardon people. Normally, there is a committee that is set up, which comprises the Attorney General and 3 other people appointed by the president. These are the people who sit on the committee that decide on probation, on pardons, etc. And then the president would give his assent or not. But the thing is, this is supposed to be for people who have paid their dues to society, who have been reformed, because prison is supposed to reform people.
Yeah.
They pay their dues to society, they are reformed, rehabilitated, and released into society. When you have this kind of pardons, you expect people who made some mistakes in life and they have paid dearly for it, people who have had unfortunate circumstances and they were sentenced by the courts. And then you say, maybe they have paid enough, let's release these people. They have been rehabilitated. There is an assessment, an evaluation before to see who has done what and what are the conditions for releasing them. And you release those people to society. And usually there is a monitoring process once you release them. But when you hear that the President of the Republic has released people who murdered, this morning I heard his spokesperson say one of the people that Khalilullah is terminally ill, probably with cancer or whatever, and then they release him to go and die in dignity. You can even understand that to a certain extent. Even though you know that he's killed somebody who will not come back, but that kind of pardon you can even understand. But
what did they say about the rape people that were accused of rape, though?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I don't see any justification for that. Somebody who has raped even an adult person, for me, rape is the most abhorrent crime you can commit.
Yeah.
You cannot pardon anybody for raping, particularly when it's a minor.
4-year-old, 9-year-old, 14-year-old.
14-year-old, 9-year-old, 4-year-old. You see, having sexual relations with a minor, whether even consenting minor or not, because the law says that minor cannot consent.
They cannot consent to anything.
So if you have relations with that person, it's considered rape already. Particularly when you force yourself onto those people. You cannot tell us that this is a pardonable offense. An adult male forcing himself onto a female, particularly an underage child, you destroy that child for good.
Yeah.
And you're going to have that person released into society with the potential of committing the same crimes again. And the people who have been victim of that and their families will walk on the streets and see those people on the streets. Do you imagine how they feel, what they feel?
And this is
For me,
this is what I spoke to Fatou, I think Fatou Loam, the girl that was killed by this Pap Khalil guy.
Yes,
and I spoke to
Saloon.
the sister's husband, and they are devastated. The family, they just cannot believe how this happened, and that their daughter is killed, and this guy is going to work. And I mean, even if he is sick, I understand he's sick, but again, at least he's living. These people don't have a family member to look at.
Exactly.
They don't even have that opportunity.
Exactly.
Now, but when it comes to people that have raped somebody and they're in our society, they're going through this stigma of being raped, and now they know that that person that raped them is walking in the street.
Free.
How does that even support our fight for gender-based violence
Fight
in
against
our society?
sexual and gender-based violence.
In our society.
Because what Rahim Malik Law and his people are talking about was gender-based violence.
Yeah.
And I think they should have added the sexual part to it. Sexual and gender-based violence. That is something that we all have to combat. These crimes are particularly heinous in some of the cases because one was kidnapping a lady.
Yeah.
You kidnap her, which in itself is a major serious offense. And then you rape in addition to that. And to compound the whole thing, a minor. How could anybody even propose a pardon for that? These are people who are in some ways mentally imbalanced. You don't release those people into society just like that. Even if there are conditions which we were to advocate for their release, they should be monitored constantly by medical and psychological staff to ensure that there is no repetition of those offenses in society. But the bottom line is somebody who has gone to those extents, I would not even think of pardoning that person. Some people might think that's harsh, but that's the reality.
I mean,
if we are going to
harsh,
fight
yeah.
gender-based violence, and particularly sexual and gender-based violence, because the gender-based violence could be just you have something against women, you have, and then you hit them, you humiliate them, etc. But when you add the sexual part to it, that makes it even worse. We have seen it in countries where they have used rape as a tool and a weapon of war, just to destroy people.
Yeah.
And there is this famous doctor in Congo who goes through so much trying to rehabilitate those people, not just physically, the wounds they sustain, but the psychological trauma
They go through.
and the PSTD, because these people go to post-traumatic stress disorders which are not even reported to the medical facilities or to the police, and they have to deal with all of that. And in addition to that, you release the perpetrator, and they meet them in society, and you expect them to handle that quietly. What do you tell the other people? You can go ahead and commit these crimes and we will release you after some time.
Yeah.
And you're telling us that you support the fight against sexual and gender-based violence, but you go ahead and release the criminals who commit those things.
I don't want to cut you short, but we posted this story, Rohilo's story, and the First Lady was there, and I posted the video on Twitter, because, we put videos on Twitter, and I saw a lot of retweet, and people were saying, you are here talking about gender-based violence when your husband is releasing rapists.
Exactly.
And I'm thinking, the timing actually itself is so bad and wrong. But how does this affect the work of the activists? I was supposed to have Fatou here. He really wanted to be here. Fatou from the gender-based violence situation. Yeah. He really wanted to be here. But how does this help? How does this, help stop the fight against gender-based violence?
It makes the fight extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Because when you hear from the highest level of the state telling us that, yes, we release criminals who have been convicted of sexual and gender-based violence, and you turn around and tell me I'm fighting sexual and gender-based violence, what is the consistency in here? You have to know what you want. We need to empower the people, the NGOs, the state institutions, and people like Rahim Malik Law who are doing training to fight this. We have to make sure that they see that the state is behind them, that the country is united behind them, that we're going to fight this scourge. But if we go ahead now, just imagine somebody who is recovering from the trauma of that sexual and gender-based violence and trying to deal with it in our own ways, traditionally most of the time.
Yeah.
And then that person comes into the street with somebody. Aren't you even inciting violence by releasing that person to the street to meet his victims?
Yeah.
Aren't you inciting violence? These are the risks we incur. When you take people out of those conditions, and you know that a large percentage of this sexual and gender-based violence is not even reported. Those who might want to go and report the cases to the police, etc. What's the point? What's the point?
Yeah.
I'm going to, because we still have that stigma.
The stigmatization.
We have the stigma against that, as if the victim
is
the person to blame.
Yeah.
This person is a victim. He's been sexually and violated, and then they are considered the victim becomes the target of scorn and stigma, etc.
Yeah.
So they have to deal with that, but they need to, because we need to tell them, hey, you are not the cause of the problem. You are the victim. Come out and denounce this, and we will support you. We will fight these cases. But if they are going to be exposed to that stigma, that scourge in society, and then you have to release the people who perpetrated these things, and then most people didn't even come out.
Yeah.
Because we know how society reacts to that. We need to have strong messages and strong actions that will discourage a repetition of those kind of actions.
But where is the rage, though? Where is the rage? I don't see anything. I mean, I've seen few people on social media. Apart from that, I don't see, as a society, someone said this to me, somebody very in government, somebody really prominent in government. He said, I told social media, move on. It seems like they have gotten used to what we do, is just speak up about these issues and move on.
But that's the unfortunate
even
part.
the international community, we're talking about rape and gender-based violence.
Yes.
You know what the embassies are putting, the kind of money. Just a few days ago, the U.S. Embassy organized a women's forum where they brought women and they were talking about gender-based violence and issues like that.
Yes.
And then the following week, you hear that people that have been involved in rape and other cases like that have been, where is the rape? I don't see anybody talking about this, even the human rights groups and others.
And that's where we need to congratulate Watson Gambia.
Yes.
They took this fight and they are moving with it. And we all need to support them, because everybody in this country has a mother.
Yeah.
If you don't have a sister, you don't have a wife, etc., you have a mother at least. Imagine this happening to your mother or anybody in your family.
Yeah.
How would you feel? Now, we cannot just say, okay, it happened and we move on. No, we shouldn't move on. This should stay on the national agenda for as long as it takes. I would have expected that the Human Rights Commission would be leading the charge on this. The Gambia Bar Association should be there. All of us political parties should be here. We should be talking about this, because unless we denounce this, unless we fight this, there will be repetitions of these kind of attitudes. The president will release more and more people. We had in 2018 a pedophile from Norway, released without any explanation. Here we have other pedophiles, because these people who are raping 9-year-old, 4-year-olds, 14, they are pedophiles as well, in addition to the crime of sexual violence, in addition to some cases of kidnapping. They are pedophiles as well. And you release those people. What message are you sending to community? What message are you sending to the potential criminals? I can't, I'm so enraged because I have a daughter.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine this sort of thing. God forbid.
Yeah.
I hate to talk about myself in this, but when I was at African Development Bank, I was representing the ADB in what was called the International Conference of the Great Lakes region. That was all the area around Rwanda, Burundi, Congo, etc., where we had a lot of wars. And there were large numbers of female victims.
Yeah.
Attacked by all of these soldiers and all the militia in that area. They were just raping women round the clock and destroying their lives.
Yeah.
And this doctor in Zaire was called the repairer of women. That was the title they gave him. So he was bringing in these women in an NGO hospital kind of clinic. And he was treating these women, and we met with him, we sat with him. He said the most difficult part is the psychological trauma that these people have to deal with.
Yeah.
The physical trauma he manages to handle and he cures them, etc. But the psychological trauma. So the ADB with the ICGLR set up what was called the Center for SGB Violence, and how do we manage that? How do we handle it? It was under the Great Lakes region, and we are funding these things, and we are doing activities to try to help these women overcome this activity. ADB put $2.4 million into that project with other people, and we were working with, and it was so traumatic to talk to some of them. You see what they're going through. So you see that in that context, which is even a war context, and then you have it in your own country. You have this sort of thing happening. We should all be so enraged by this. We should be fighting this around the clock and taking the president and his people on. Because the committee should never even have thought of putting these people on the list to start with.
That's what I was going to say. Because I know there's always a lot of lobbying when it comes to releasing prisoners. Everybody wants their families to be released. But if people are selected, do they do any vetting as to what crimes they have committed for them to be even eligible to be on that global list before they are even selected and given to the president? And even the president, because for me, I tell people, look, I don't care who did the selection. The buck stops at the president.
Exactly.
He is the one who signs on that list. Because the reason why president has all those advisors we are paying from the taxpayers' money is for them to advise him.
Yes.
Now, if you give me a list, I want to know. I mean, even as small as Kerr Fatou is, if you bring something to my table, I just want to see. If you say, let's go cover this, I want to know, okay, what is happening there? Why do we need to cover? What news item does it bring to us as a people? I make those determinations. I would expect if somebody brings a list to the president, he would want to know who is Fatou Toure, who is this person. Now, how does this selection process goes? Who do we say is faulty here?
For me, as you said, the buck stops with the president.
Yeah.
And just beneath him, the Attorney General.
Okay.
The Attorney General heads that committee. He is a lawyer.
Yeah.
How could you accept those things to be brought to the president for signature? If I were the Attorney General and you bring that to me, I will straight away strike them off the list. Or I'm the president, you bring that to me, I say, why are you bringing this to my table? I'm not going to sign this. Those people should not be on that list. For me, the only case in which I would even consider is when those people are getting to say, well, they are terminally ill and they've got just a short time to live. You want them to die in dignity? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But barring that, we have to send a strong signal to society that this will not be accepted. And if you do this, you're going to rot in jail. If you do that, look, there is absolutely no justification, none, for a man to rape a woman, let alone a minor. That should enrage all of us. All of us. The reason we are putting laws in place even to raise the age of marriage and certain things is because we want to protect our women folk.
Yeah.
So we cannot be doing those things and then turn around and say, well, it's okay, we'll let go this time. Whoever even thinks of lobbying for that is sick.
Yeah.
And that should not be entertained. Today, the entire political spectrum of the country should be enraged by this and should start actions. The civil society should start actions. The Gambia Human Rights Commission should start something. The Bar Association should be enraged. Everybody should do something to make sure that this sort of thing doesn't happen again. If we keep quiet, and if, as we say, social media is going to complain, it's going to go away.
Yeah, they said for 3 days, then.
Yeah, this should not go away. It's a problem of conscience for all of us. What is that what we are as a people?
But what message are we sending to our international partners? A lot of them support, the women, the gender ministry. They support, development programs here to empower women. The fight against gender-based violence, the U.S. Embassy and other embassies. I know a lot of programs that we attend, and the fight they're doing to empower women and to end gender-based violence, UNFPA, UNDP. What are we sending? What message are we sending to the development partners?
And I hope that those development partners are also taking the issue up with the president's office. Say, this is not acceptable. I hope the Ministry of Women's Affairs is taking up this issue. Not in public, certainly, but I hope they take it up with the president and say, Mr. President, you messed up. You messed up.
No, they will not do that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not going to hold my breath for that because I might suffocate.
Yeah.
You know, I won't hold my breath for that. But the thing is, these are issues that should be taken up.
Yeah.
If I were the Minister of Gender today, I would resign. I would resign because this is not acceptable. Look, there are times we've got to stand up and be counted.
Yeah.
And this is one of those cases. When you sign all the international conventions protecting women and the girl child, and you do what you require at the national level to promote the education and the development of the girl child and the women folk in general, and you go ahead and take the measures like this, we should never even think of, oh, maybe it's a few cases, etc. No, even one case is one case too many.
Mm-hmm.
Even one pardon for people like that is one pardon too many. So we've got to be able to do something that is consistent. I have seen cases where people have gone around, and this will not be understood by anybody as me advocating for violence or anything.
Yeah.
I've seen cases where people have gone around and killed the perpetrators of these things
Kind of cases, yeah.
because they were released in these kind of circumstances.
Yeah.
We do not want to see that happen in our country, and we're not advocating for that at all.
Yeah.
But we should not create conditions that would lead to those sort of things. Yeah. We should be able to empathize with the victims enough to keep these people in prison. If they leave prisons, they should go to mental facilities, not to be released into society.
Not to be released into society.
Because this is not acceptable under any circumstance. So we just have to denounce this as roundly as possible. And we hope that our development partners will also make their voices heard diplomatically to the president, but I hope they will make their voices heard on this issue. I hope that the different national institutions responsible for the protection of women and girls will make their voices heard. For them, it should not be diplomatic, it should be out and loud and clear in public.
Yeah.
I hope that the Human Rights Commission will come forward on this.
Definitely.
Because this is a major human rights violation.
Yes.
I hope that the Bar Association will also make their voices heard on this. Because they have stood for most of these victims, they have fought their cases, and now the perpetrators are being released into society and putting everybody at risk again. They should come forward and make sure that they denounce this as much as possible.
And the judiciary have been very strong when it comes to this. They have made strong positions known, when they make judgments on these cases.
Yeah, the judiciary cannot be faulted on this because they have imposed very stiff sentences.
Yes.
Life in prison, 20 years in prison, etc. They have played their part.
Yeah.
Are we playing our part? That is the question. The president definitely didn't play his part. The committee on probation and parole has not played its part. So are we as society going to play our part? I can tell you one thing for sure is that we in the UDP are extremely outraged by this. And I'm sure I will not be the last person to talk about this in the UDP. We are enraged. And I hope that other parties will also register their protest on this. But not stop at protest. We should do something to take on the executive to make sure that this does not happen again. We are the protectors of our people.
Yeah.
We are in the political limelight. We have a voice that the poor girl, the poor lady who was violated does not have. We have to stand up and speak for them. We have to make sure that this sort of attitude is outlawed in our country. And the president should be helping with that. When I heard Rohim Malik Lowe praise him for all what he did to support them move this agenda, about the fight against violence against women, I applauded Rohim. And I applauded him. I don't agree with him on a number of points.
Yeah.
But on that day, I applauded him.
Yeah.
And I was like, great, at least we're doing something right here. And it's in the evening when I got back, I had not been following this. See, when I got back, somebody drew my attention and said, wait a minute, you guys were at this conference. Do you know that the president has released 37 people, and Watson Gambia has published a list of 6 or 7 people who are released who have been involved in murder and rape cases, some of minors? I said, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
And they sent me the list. I look at it and I was like, God in heavens, what's happening? So we've got to be consistent.
Yeah. The messaging is conflicting.
Not conflicting.
We cannot be releasing
It is
people.
countering every good thing that we were trying to do.
And talking about pardoning, I mean, it seems that the president has been generous recently. I mean, he's trying to be very generous recently. Now, he has released people, on which presidents do every year, at the end of the year. We also know the president will be pardoning some people that were, how do you call it, the Commission of Inquiry banned them on public office. I know a lot of them, some of them, I very good friends of mine and other people that I know. For me, I've always said this. Number one, when the commission came out and banned people or accused certain people of mismanagement, my issue was some people were left to continue to do their jobs, and others were victimized. And that was my issue. If the commission said, Fatou Toure, Mr. Manneh, and others, you all banned, or you all were in one way or the other implicated in this, if you're banning me or you are telling me to sit home, I guess the others should also sit home.
Yes.
So for me, when that happened and people were not treated the same way, I have this friend who is the finance director at a company, and he was banned. I mean, we all know, I worked in a press, we all know, finance directors don't approve. The approving authority is the managing director.
Yes.
Now, if you're banning the finance director for public office for implementing what managing directors have given him, that I look at it as cherry picking, right? But we have seen people who have headed ministries or who were we have seen a lot of people. And for me, at that point, I said, I don't think this is fair. The commission did their job and they brought in whatever the recommendations. And from the government side, the implementation was not very fair. Some people were let to go, they were banned, others were left to continue doing their job.
Right.
Now, if we see that after the National Assembly passed the new commission bill and the president, we are told, will be pardoning some people because of, he feels like they should come back and work. I mean, do you think that's welcoming? So what's the essence of us having commissions of inquiries?
Yeah, good question. And particularly, again, the conflicting messages. Because you are telling people more or less, it's okay to be corrupt. We will pardon you for a while, after a while. Dr. Banja being pardoned, I say, okay, maybe. But what signal is that sending to people? If you get charged with corruption and you tried and you keep your mouth shut about the other people who were there with you, we never heard him mention his minister, who was as involved in this as anybody else. He took the blame for everybody. He became the scapegoat. You keep him there for 7-8 months. You pardon him. Is that a message you send to the others? If you keep your mouth shut when you go to court, we'll pardon you. So the corruption continues. We are not fighting corruption effectively. If you're going to fight corruption, it's got to be comprehensive and across the board. You cannot just have selective justice. You cannot charge Mr. Banja, Dr. Banja, and leave other people around. And his case was even a minor case compared to the others where millions and tens of millions have disappeared. In some cases, hundreds of millions have disappeared, if you put it politely. Where are those people? Why are they not in the courts defending themselves? Why are we allowing those people to go scot-free while somebody like Banja for $100,000, as it was said, is in prison for 2 years? Now he's been pardoned? Fine. But where are the others? Where are the others? The commissions of inquiry, when they go with their recommendations, you cannot just cherry pick and implement it the way you like, because you like A, you don't like B, you sanction A, you pardon Z. No. We have seen a number of people who were adversely mentioned in the Manneh Commission, in the TRRC, and they still continue to work in government.
Yes.
while others have been banned and they are staying away.
Yeah.
And now give the president the opportunity to ban to release even all those other people. This economy was destroyed by corruption under Jammeh. And we're seeing a repetition of the same thing now. All audit reports that have come out, and this is nothing from the opposition or anybody.
No,
this is from government institutions.
Yes.
All the audit reports that have come out have highlighted incredibly high amounts of corruption in this government. And it's all over the government. And you don't do anything to fight that. But in the meantime, you are taking more and more loans to make up for those cases and to overcharge us for everything that you do. All the infrastructure projects have become real cases of corruption. And we do hope that one day those accounts will be made public, because we know what is going in there. And we know the amount of corruption being involved in all of those cases. And you are not fighting that effectively. You are mortgaging our development, the future of our children and grandchildren. Because all of these loans you're taking will have to be paid back. And the corruption is killing the economy. Why are we where we are today? Our current national currency is plummeting. The value of the dollar is just going through the floor. And that is going to make life even more difficult, because once the dollar loses in value, everything is going to go up mechanically, just by the sheer transformation.
Your party leader said 2024 is going to be worse than 2023.
It's going to be much worse. It's going to be much worse. Look, the dollar last year lost well over 25%. 26, 27% was lost in the value of the dollar last year, 23. And at this trend, we're going to lose another 25 to 30% of the value of the dollar this year. So by the end of this year, compared to 2022, we'll lose about 50% of the value of the dollar to just devaluation. When that happens, we import almost everything. So the cost of everything that we use in this country is going to go up, just by the mechanical effect of the transfer of the currency exchange. So everything is going to get more expensive. All the services are going to get more expensive. When that happens, and then out on top of that, the taxation that will have to be put in place, because we are not getting enough funding from abroad, because the economy is not functioning at all, because the expenditure outstrips by far the revenue, all of that put together, the country is going to get even more difficult. What does that telling us? The elite are going to get more and more comfortable because we're going to finance their luxuries, and the poor are going to get more and more destitute. And there is no trend in this current budget, to mitigate that. Everything we see is going to enhance the living standards of the elite, and it's going to make the poor even more destitute. Last year, over 30,000 people slipped under the net to enter into the absolute poor category. I think 33,000 people. This year we're going to have even more. So we're going to have more and more people destitute in this country. The corollary of that is that when you have so many people destitute and poor, the crime rate will rise exponentially. Because people are in a situation where they cannot even afford a normal, decent meal. So the temptation of doing something wrong to get a meal is going to grow higher.
Is that the reason why we have seen a lot of murder cases recently? I mean, there's one in Westfield, we talked about one in Senegambia. Recently, we have seen a lot of people being killed. This girl at the Westfield working at a bureau was killed by this guy, and
It's a combination of factors. You have that destitution people are going through. You have the proliferation of drugs in this country. Okay, you have the hopelessness that the youth are facing. When you put all of that together, because the government policies do not have any space for youth development, you don't have any space for giving hope to the youth. So we see the backdoor phenomenon going on. We see more and more kids getting into drugs. We see more and more people getting into prostitution, etc. When you get into those, somebody who is into drugs doesn't have the money for his drugs. He's going to get his fix anyway. So he's going to get the money anyhow, and he's going to get into crime, petty crime, which escalates into major crime. When people are not able to eat at all, they will start with petty larceny. They will attack people, snatch bags here and there, and those small things, and then it escalates. One day they'll break into a house. They know if they get caught, they will be in trouble, so they come with weapons. They probably will kill to escape. So this is a trend we're seeing, and we don't see anything coming from the government to stem that tide, and that's what's worrying. I see the police trying to do what they can patrolling, but the patrols are mainly on the main roads.
Yeah, they're not inland.
And the main roads is not where the crime takes place.
No.
The crime is in the neighborhoods. But the police do not have the vehicles to go around the neighborhoods.
Well, I see the IGP giving...
Yeah.
We hear politically people saying
priorities.
the IGP gave us transportation and others.
Yes,
the
misplaced
IGP
priorities.
supported on this. The IGP, when the drivers were striking, IGP deployed their bosses to transport people.
Exactly.
So don't tell me the IGP doesn't have the resources to
No, the resources are there. It's the misplaced priorities.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You should be getting police vehicles to allow our police officers to patrol in the neighborhoods. You give them the equipment. You give them arms to be able to go around and patrol.
Yeah.
You give them protective gear to protect themselves, because some of these criminals are armed.
Yeah.
So when you give them body armor, they can go out much more comfortably and confront crime in the neighborhoods. You can't ask them to go put their lives on the line all the time and don't take care of them. Protect them. Give them body armor. Give them arms and ammunition. Give them vehicles to patrol. Give them communication equipment to be able to communicate with each other effectively. Have the backups in the police stations. All the vehicles, for example, we're giving to all of these institutions that we're creating for no reason absolutely, and we could deploy some of those vehicles into the police service. Instead of buying V8 vehicles for every time they can hurry, we can buy smaller vehicles and take part of that money and buy vehicles for our police force to do the police work on the ground. We are not doing any of those things. We should be working D-League. I had a program here with somebody from the D-League. They should be given more powers and more resources to fight drugs in this country.
Yeah.
But it's not happening, so we wonder why is the government not serious about fighting drug proliferation in the country? We need to have all of those things in place. We need to have a comprehensive, well-articulated program.
When you say that, do you hear any, for example, we have high-profile drug cases that are going on.
Yeah.
At some point, we hear them and noise is too much, and then we don't hear
They die
anything.
away.
We don't hear anything about them again. So,
So these are the
what
things
does that tell us?
These are the things I'm saying. There doesn't seem to be any coordinated, comprehensive government attitude or effort to combat crime and criminality in this country and drugs. And it's the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Gambia, they should be able to get those high-profile cases to court because they have lawyers trained in the institution. They are one of the few institutions in the country which have their own lawyers trained by them, which I applaud. Use those lawyers to fight these cases in court. Give them the means, empower them to go ahead and fight these cases. Make sure that these cases are not brushed under the carpet. We haven't had one single high-profile drug case prosecuted in these courts. The Director of Public Prosecutions, he should be leading this charge. Okay? But there's prosecutorial discretion, which is what we call it in law, whether he decides this case should be prosecuted or not. If they decide that through the discretion they have, they don't want to prosecute this case for various reasons, they don't go to court, or they're not prosecuted vigorously enough. Why are we having all of these cases being heard for a couple of weeks and months and then they disappear and nobody hears about them anymore? What's happening? The Gambians need to know. Why is it that the drug problem seems to be growing in this country? We're having more and more of our youth in the drugs problem. You go to places like Tavern here, we all know about it.
Yeah.
You see it all the time. Why is that not place not closed down? Why are no vigorous action not being taken? Some will tell you, no, if you do, they go underground. What?
Now, let's talk about something else that is very, very important. I think the last time, I don't know whether it was you or Larry, when we had the Senegambia Bridge issue, you know, we talked about it, how what we have seen now is more of Gambia government trying to privatize our national assets.
Yes.
And this is something that a lot of us are not talking about.
Yes,
but
we should.
at some point, we might lose almost all of our national assets.
Yes.
Now, I worked at Gamtel, you know, like I worked for Gamtel from 2005 to 2013, almost 8 years. And it's a company that's very dear to my heart. And I know a lot of people will say Gamtel was the glory of a lot of people.
Exactly.
And we all know what Gamtel went through during the 22 years of jamming,
Yes, yes.
where the Gamtel gateway was taken over and the money was put in a special account. We all heard about it during the Commission of Inquiry,
yes.
Where Gamtel was funding all of these things. I remember, you know, even the Peru, the plane was hired by Gamtel.
Yes,
You know, when the president goes on the Meet the People store, I saw a picture where people, you know, my picture where I was wearing a Jame t-shirt and everyone was saying, oh, she was green. But I was working at Gamtel and I was the marketing manager of Gamtel.
Okay.
Now, when the president goes on tour, the MD goes with staff. And we used to print t-shirts for that tour. There's no way you can... That's the directives we get as we do it, right? So I know how much money Gamtel used to spend on all these issues. And that's how the company was run. That's how, because it was liquid. But that's how government wanted it to operate. And there's no way you could say no to him at that time, right? Now, when the new government came, Gamtel started struggling because the gateway was taken away from them. What they had was they had the gateway money was taken away. When this government came, they gave it back to them. And they started, you know, regrouping, and they started, the network is obsolete. Gamcell, all their cell sites are not good. They need more cell sites across the country. And people like to keep that number 9 because it's a national brand. That is the Gambian company, right? I still have my 996. But I come to my office, I cannot receive a call because the network is not strong here.
Absolutely.
You know, but if you go deep into what Gamtel's problem is this: they don't have coverage all over the country because their network is obsolete. They cannot expand because this government has told them they cannot take loans from any commercial banks. There's an embargo. They cannot take loans. They have to pay their obligations. At GRA, there was at some point, GRA came to close their doors.
Right.
So they were owing them. But remember, GRA and Gamtel are both national institutions. But because they had obligation, they have to pay. GRA came, they almost put gas to the Gamcell offices, right?
And
for them to stop operations.
Difficult to pay salaries.
Gamcell struggled to pay salaries. The first thing this government did was the gateway. They said, oh, this was I think, you know, the ACE project, you know, the agreement was the World Bank, whatever World Bank or something, everybody, all the operators should have a share of their gateway. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. But before you do that, get Gamcell prepared. This is your national asset. Protect them. Let them stand on a strong footing before you share their main source of revenue. I mean, people love it. People love it from other networks, and they shared that revenue that was Gamcell's core revenue. They shared it and gave percentage to all other operators. Now, okay, fine. Gamcell and Gamtel struggling. Number one, they cannot get money from commercial banks to be able to expand. Government did not inject any money into them for them to expand. Government owes them for their bills millions. It's a struggle for them to even pay them. I'm saying this on camera because I know it. It's a struggle for them to even pay them their monies because they are owing them for calls that they make. Now, all of this happening, all of this, no network coverage, they cannot sell their credit cards because people, because people cannot have access to the network. Why would I buy credit if I don't have access to the network? Their revenue that they're coming, you share it among other people. They cannot take loan to upgrade. You did not give them money, but you are not also paying them what you're owing them. And all of these combined, and you tell us, oh, they're not doing well, so we're going to sell them. Now, last week, Cabinet came up with a paper. Number one, they are going to sell Gamcell 60% to private investors, I would have said, I mean, I am all in for privatizing Gamcel because they need money. But I would think you will say 5149. I'm not an economist, but a national asset like Gamcel, I would think 5149. But no, 60%. Gamcel, who their main business is data and telephone calls. I don't know who has a landline in their house.
No.
If you take their main core business, which is the fiber, the gum fiber that everybody uses, that is the only money that makes money for Gamcel. If you take that and you say, oh, we are creating a new company,
new corporation,
calling it Gum Fiber Corporation,
yeah.
and have it managed differently, and have Gamcel do what? What are they going to do?
Yeah.
Because nobody has a house line. I don't know who has a house line in their homes.
Yeah.
The ADSL, the internet is not good. Nobody takes the ADSL. They don't have any other service to sell. This is their only service.
Yeah.
And now you're taking that away from them. You are killing them. What are you doing? This is what is happening. And everybody is keeping quiet. And I don't see anybody from Gamcel even speaking about it because people are scared of losing their jobs.
But that's the thing.
To the extent of our national assets.
That's why I'm happy to hear you say this.
I am so passionate about that.
I've been saying this for months now.
Yeah.
I've been talking about this for months. And we have to raise our voice on this as well. Gamcel are set up for failure.
Yeah.
The government is making them go bankrupt,
yeah,
so they can privatize them. And what happens in these cases? When that happens,
and we know there's some number of people that are lobbying to buy that company.
Of course.
They are lobbying to buy.
They are profitable companies,
Yeah.
potentially profitable.
If you put money in there, yeah.
So what do? You set them up for failure, you run them through the ground, and you say they are not profitable,
Yeah.
and you undervalue them. When it comes to selling them, they are undervalued. We saw that happen at the time with NIB. You undervalue these assets, and you sell them off cheap. And whoever buys them comes in, injects a little bit of money, and they make a killing out of it. Gamcel have been set up for failure. They are run into the ground deliberately. Look, why on earth would Gamcel fail and Gamcel fail when you have Africell, Comium, QCell, etc., making money?
Comium just came last week, a few months ago, and they're doing so well. Because
Comium
somebody
was almost
injected
going down.
money. Yeah.
They were going down, but they changed their management, they changed everything, they injected new money into it, and they are doing well.
Yeah.
Why can that happen for Gamcel? Because there is absolutely no incentive to make it survive and prosper. These institutions were set up to be generating revenue for the state and pay dividends to the state and to finance the economy. But somebody somewhere made a decision that whatever they generate is mine. That was the case under Jammeh.
Yeah.
So all their assets were more or less privatized by Jammeh. So he runs them the way he likes, the way he liked. And then they were making huge losses. In addition, he said, you move the gateway to the president's office. So what you can consider the grease all goes there, and then the fat, he gets everything. And Gamcel are left to suffer and to try to survive. If in addition to that, you don't even pay them the money you owe them, how do you expect them to survive? You want them to fail. So then you can turn around and blame, oh, they are doing so bad, we have to privatize them. I am against privatizing these companies. We took our national tax dollars to set up these companies for a reason. We didn't just do them because we love them. No, these are investments for the national economy and for our country to generate additional. We do not have too many natural resources. So these service sectors are the areas where we can make a lot of money for the country to finance our economy.
Yeah.
If we do that, the economy becomes much more liquid, we can invest much more, and we tax our people less. If you allow those companies to be privatized, even the little revenue you could have had from that, we lose that revenue. So what do? You borrow, you take loans, and you look for budget support, you look for grants. If you don't get those, you don't get enough, you tax the people to death. Whereas if we make those companies survive, they will be paying dividends to the country every year. Gamcel at the beginning, under Bakari Njai, those people were paying virtually the civil service salaries.
Yeah.
They were making so much money. They were second in Africa, only second to South Africa.
They set up
in terms of
GRTS.
performance.
Our
Exactly.
salaries were paid when I came to jail. Our salaries were paid when we were on the government.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And there is still potential for that company to succeed if government wants it to succeed.
Yeah.
Restructure it. Give it the resources they require.
good management.
Give it, exactly. Give it a good management team. Give incentive to the staff.
Yeah. And pump in money and give them good equipment.
The banks.
Yeah.
Some of these banks here, our local banks,
Would want to support.
their staff are given a certain percentage of the revenue
Yes.
as an incentive. When you do that, every year they get a commission from the profits of the company.
Yeah.
They get a small dividend. Why can't you do that for Gamtel? Bring in a good management, refinance it, and give the staff an incentive as well.
Senegal, their telecoms, that's what is happening there.
Yes, but again, Senegal, their telecoms, Senelec was doing very well. Sonatel was doing very well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the white government decided to privatize it. They sold it to France Telecom.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely no reason again to sell to Sonatel at the time. It
Yeah.
was making money. But you take a national asset, which we spent years building with our tax dollars to be able to finance our economy, and you privatize it for a few people. So you're giving away our national assets
Yeah.
to a few people to get richer and richer. When we need it for the country, the private sector should thrive. We should create an enabling environment for the private sector to thrive. But do not destroy the national assets whilst you try to do that. We open up the telecom sector. We have few companies coming into operate. QCell is operating, AfriCell is operating.
And all of that. And,
And let them compete with Gamtel. But it's like putting them on a race.
Gamtel cannot
and you
even
tied
compete. Gamtel cannot compete.
That's what I'm saying. It's like putting them in a race and you tie their legs together and want them to compete, to run with the others.
They cannot.
They cannot.
Number one, they don't have the network. They don't have liberty to take any financial muscles to upgrade their network.
Yes.
Number two, for example, today, if AfriCell wants to go 5G today, they don't have to go through all those procurement processes. They want it now, they get it now.
Yes.
If Gamcell wants to upgrade one system, it takes months because they have procurement systems. And I understand those things, are regulations, they are under, they are private company, they have laws and all that stuff. But there's no room for them to even compete these companies. But again, let government invest in Gamcell and
Yes.
make it work. But
Yes.
it seems like they're like, it cannot work, so let's just privatize.
No, because we make them fail.
Oh.
So we privatize them. It's a deliberate effort to privatize these companies.
And I say this from the beginning of this government, all the ministers that manage these companies, tell me what kind of experience and they have when it comes to technology, manage Gamtel issues, technology and stuff like that. The first minister was Uncle D.A., right? He's more of a journalist, right? So he doesn't understand a lot about government. Ibrahim Asila, the same, The current minister, Ba, he just worked for what, I don't know, how do you call it? But he is not that, I don't think
Technology
he has
savvy.
the he's a technology guy, but I don't think he understands the issues of Gamcell that much to the point where they can make these kind of decisions to just take cabinet paper and cabinet just approves we are going to sell.
Yeah, because you set them up for failure. You don't want to make any efforts to make them survive. So let's wash our hands of it, sell it, and then we go. The minister might not be an IT savvy guy. He might not be in the position to assess all of those things. But if he is smart enough to have a good team, IT savvy, management savvy, you put them in control of that, and you support
Lamin
them.
Kamara knows Gamcell like the palm of his hand.
Right.
I think it's government,
Right.
but when there are certain decisions that they want to make.
There are a number of people in this country who have the potential, the knowledge, the expertise to run those companies and run them profitably.
Yeah.
But they are not being put in that position. We are having people there who sometimes are there, but they refuse the authority and the empowerment to go ahead and do what is required. Lamin Kamara doesn't have that empowerment,
Yeah.
etc., etc. So when you want to make those companies survive, you give them the resources, you give them expertise,
Yeah.
and the minister could be managing them only. Let those people do the hands-on management. You sign performance contracts with those companies and those people, the managers of those companies. You define their KPIs, the key performance indicators. I'm not here to use those technical terms.
Yeah.
You define their key performance indicators, say, this is what you're supposed to achieve in this period. and this is how much you're supposed to generate in income. You decide that with them. You sign those performance contracts with them, and you give them the wherewithal to do it. You cannot do all of that and you refuse them the resources to do it. Create an environment for them, give them the resources, and let them manage it, and then the government will be better off for it. Because otherwise, what are we doing? We are selling off all our national strategic assets in this country, and the Gambia is going to end up being an empty shell.
We are mortgaging our bridge.
It's mortgaged already.
Yeah. Okay.
What did they say? The 100 million is going to be used for infrastructure.
Yeah.
The minister told us that 15 million has been paid into the account already, and where did it go?
Where did it go?
Administrative expenditure. When is this coming? We don't know. We haven't even seen to date that agreement. And Parliament has not insisted to have it ratified. Why? The Parliament is failing us too.
The minister say they don't need to go to Parliament.
The port, part of it is concession out to Grupo Rodman. We want to build a new airport after spending $50 million upgrading and rehabilitating it. The VIP lounge, they said they spent $10 million upgrading a VIP lounge. Come on, give me a break. $10 million to operate a VIP lounge? And then $40 million to rehabilitate that airport, which is still poor in terms of infrastructure, air conditioning, etc. And then after spending $50 million, it turned out, yeah, we're going to build a new airport, we're going to concession it out. So all the money we're getting from the airport, and potentially what we could be getting from the airport, is going to be lost to us. It's going to go to some private entity. It's going to build a new airport, and all the resources are going to go there. And what percentage are we going to get as a nation from that? We don't even know. Why do we have to write off that airport now? After spending $50 million, they should tell us where the money went. But this government is in all the wrong things and all. Look, it's all the corruption that is happening in this country. That should not happen. So that is going. They told that the ferry services are probably going to be concessioned out. Discussions are going on for that. Okay. The Sanyang port they want to build. I have no issues with that. Building a new structure there, and having somebody build it, put his money in there, and manage it, and give it back to us. But you have to define the conditions very clearly for all to see. If you don't, they're going to operate that port here and get all the money, and we get nothing for it.
Nothing safe.
We get only if not even the crumbs, all the difficulties from it. Because Gamcel, for example, being privatized, most probably all the loans and all the liabilities of the company are going to be transferred to the public sector. We're going to have to pay for it. So whoever is going to buy it probably will buy it without the liabilities. Because the current liabilities of Gamcel, nobody will going to buy to those liabilities. So government is probably going to transfer those liabilities to us. We pay for the liabilities that they created. And then somebody buys it and gets a company, potentially profitable, inject a little bit of money into it and make a killing. Why can't we do that ourselves? Get talented, expert Gambians who are here, who can do it, put them in there and let them run it. And we make money from it. So all of those assets are being sold. What is going to come next? After the ferry services, maybe the whole of the port operation is going to go when the port comes. We're going to lose it. Probably. What is next? Maybe the conference center. Maybe NAWEC. You know?
I mean, any
structure can be sold now.
Remember, they created this new corporation where, what is it called?
State Enterprises Commission?
Yeah, no, not the commission, the group that is, it's a commission kind of, right?
Yeah, commission.
They are the one who is going to evaluate which company is viable and not viable.
Yeah.
The purpose of that is to look at who is viable and who is not. If you're not viable, we sell you off.
But do we really need that?
Do we really need that?
We have ministries here which are supposed to be doing that work. We have got young, talented Gambians in those ministries. Empower them to do the assessment for you and tell you what we could do to make them work, not what we should do to sell them off. These commissions are going to tell them what to sell off and what, under what conditions. What we want is tell us why these companies are not performing. What can we do to make them perform? Because the terms of reference you give to a commission it determines what happens.
Yeah.
If you get those groups of young Gambian, talented Gambians in the ministries and in those state-owned enterprises, tell them, sit down, look at what are the flaws, why your companies are not working. Because government should know that anyway in the first place.
Yeah.
But assuming they say they don't know.
They don't know.
Ask those people to sit down and tell you, assess for you what is going wrong in their companies. This is their companies. These are their ministries. They can do that assessment better for you than anybody else. If you give them the possibility to do it, and you don't go breathing down their neck, you empower them to do that for you. They will assess for you what is not going wrong well, why it's not going well, what can we do to fix it. And you work on that and you fix it, and they become profitable. And if they become profitable, any of those enterprises can generate billions of dollars for the Gambian economy, which we can invest in productive sectors of the economy. We can grow Gamtel. We can grow NAWEC. We can grow the ferry services easily. All of these are potentially income-generating structures. Let us not sell them off. We took ages to build these companies with our tax dollars. Why do you give it to a few people to benefit from it? The country should benefit from them. It belongs to all of us. Don't just give it away to few people.
Yeah.
And what
we should be watching out who the gum fiber should be going to. It's going to be interesting.
This government is not known for its transparency. So probably they wouldn't tell us who is buying it and under what conditions.
No, they're not.
But what is going to happen?
Fiber, but they're giving it to somebody.
It's a corporation.
A corporation, right?
That is the prelude to privatization.
Let's see who manages that.
Because gum fiber is potentially money making.
It's the it for it. It is.
So put it as a corporation. After some time, you can spin it off. What we say, we'll sell it off. And then you will sell it off to some other structure. So basically what they are doing is selling off all our national assets and national strategic infrastructure. Because remember that some of these are extremely strategic. All our personal data are lodged in some of those issues, in some of those companies.
Security.
So our security is at risk there. We have seen what happened with Semlex.
Yep.
The audit of Semlex has shown us that our data are not secure. There are no backups. There are no maintenance records. So that if something goes wrong and is being managed, the problem is being fixed by Semlex, they should have a log, say that this is how it's fixed, so that when it happens again, somebody can take it. So we don't have any of those things. So if Semlex is pinned off today or brought to a Gambian or some other, they don't know what Semlex was doing before. Semlex goes with its data, which includes our data, which you do not own. That is a serious security threat. So all of those things should be controlled because they are strategic assets. We should control all of those things. We should control what happens at NAWEC because it's strategic. If we let go of NAWEC, anybody who controls NAWEC can shut us down in terms of electricity and we're in trouble. Let go of Gamcell. Our communications are strategic. We lose that. Anybody who holds that can hold us to ransom. We need to keep all of those things. Our ferry services, that I keep complaining about. That ferry is a disaster waiting to happen. And government is just ignoring it. This is what happened with Jola. The government ignored it and it eventually sank. God forbid for the ferry.
Yeah.
But let us not court disaster. And right now we are courting disaster. We are doing everything that is required for that disaster to happen, and we should not. People's life are at risk every day they take that ferry.
Yeah.
When I say this, some people get very upset, but we got to call them out.
Yeah.
That ferry goes to Bara or to Banjul, it cannot even dock.
Yeah. Or you're on the ferry for hours.
Or for hours at sea because something has failed.
Yeah.
We had 4 ferries, only one is working. What happened? Again, the corruption. The lack of transparency.
And you know what they do? They sacrifice some people. The director, who was there, Mr. Jawara, they sent him on leave. But what has happened? Nothing changed.
Nothing.
He was not the problem.
No.
He wasn't the problem.
And, again, it's the same thing. Yeah. They're going to run it into the ground, and then they will say, the ferry service is performing bad, we're going to privatize it.
Yes, because, there are people.
Who are the people buying this?
So, Mr. Manneh, all of these things, it seems like if we let all of these things happen, privatize all of our key national assets,
yes,
and privatize them, and we're not in control, security-wise, how bad it is, but economically also, in the next couple of years, how does this affect us as a country? When you get into these long-term privatizations,
yes,
This is not things that you can just get out of it so quickly. How does this affect us in the future, the young people who are going to be taking over this country? What kind of system are they going to inherit if we give away everything that we own?
Yes, they are going to inherit a country that is an empty shell, a country with nothing in it. And we will have to fight to bring back those things. So those people who are planning to buy these institutions, beware. The legal jargon, caveat emptor, buyer beware. You are buying things under conditions which are against even our national interest and our national legislation. You might be renationalized. You could. We want to have a vibrant private sector, but we don't have a voracious private sector that's going to eat our national interest. We do not want that. We need to protect what we have as national assets and grow it, and then bring other things in to complement what we have, and to have that competition between the private sector and the public sector and to make each other better. We cannot give away what we have and go begging afterwards. This is like selling your house to buy a car, and a few days down the line, your car is gone. You don't have your house anymore. You don't have your money anymore.
And the car value, the day you buy it, goes down.
Exactly.
So
why don't we just develop what we have, make it stronger? This government should stop selling our national assets. But because they are bankrupt and they need money, they want a quick fix. So you sell that off, you get some money, you go do something. The bridge was mortgaged for $100 million when it's potentially worth at least $300 million. That bridge, by their own estimates of what it brings in every month, over 25 years, that bridge could have netted us minimum $300 million.
Yeah.
But you mortgage it for $100 million, a third of its potential value. You do that, and then you tell us the $100 million we're going to invest in infrastructure to build more infrastructure. But instead of that, you tell us, oh, actually, we were supposed to get 30 million at the beginning and then 70 million later on. But no, today we've got 15 million. They give us 15 million. It's in the budget. We're going to use it for what? Administrative expenditure. So that is selling your house to buy a car. So you mortgage that for $100 million for 25 years. You get it in bits and pieces here and there. And then you invest that in, not invest, you spend that on administrative expenditure, recurrent costs.
Yeah.
So you're not building anything out of that. Why do we mortgage that? Because they need money. And the amount of money they need to keep that lifestyle and to keep that level of expenditure is not coming anymore. So you have to sell our national assets to just for the quick fix.
For how long are we going to be doing this quick fix though? For how long? Is it viable?
But it's not viable, and probably it's going to go until 2026 when we take over from this government. Yes, but now against 2026, a lot of damage can be done. A lot of damage is already being done. To undo some of that damage is going to cost a lot of money, because some of the contracts they are signing now to get out of them, we'll have to pay to get out of them. Some of them we can negotiate our way out because they are being done in very unprofessional, unethical ways. So some of those contracts we can get our way out of them. But some of them we'll have to pay through our nose to escape them. Some we will use other facilities to get out of it. Like when the new government came in 2016, some of the Jammeh contracts, the African Development Bank sent in the African Legal Support Facility to help them renegotiate some of those things. But some of them, we've gone back to where we were. Take our oil exploration. They signed a contract with FAR, the FAR company of Australia.
Yeah.
And we get about 15 to 17% of our national oil when they start drilling it. What's happening? We don't even know what's happening. Okay? The different blocks, the 6 blocks, they give concessions out. We don't know what's happening. Senegal is drilling next to us. And we have the same area from which we are drilling. By the time we start drilling, will there be anything left? We don't even know any of those things. They're not telling us. When are they going to start drilling? How much are we expecting, etc.? There is a group of young Gambians, Noah Sisse and co, who did a very good study on this in the UK. And they're showing us what is happening there. And I think Gambians should read those sort of reports and see what is happening.
I mean, transparency, finally, before we go, transparency seems to be an issue here. For example, like, you know, the ferry thing, it was through the Africa 50 that we saw it. The Gambia government didn't tell us.
No.
We got to hear it from outside, and they were confronted, and they held a press conference and denied a lot of the things, right?
Yes.
But even after that, we haven't had anything, nothing from the minister.
No.
The Minister of Finance does whatever, and we don't hear anything from them.
Yeah.
And nobody's telling us. I'm just hearing, somebody said this before, and today I'm hearing again, that they gave us money for that. And but the government did not tell us what are the details in that contract. We don't know.
Yeah.
This privatization of Gamtel, we have not been told how they came to that decision. The company, the people, the Gambian people, this belongs to the Gambian people.
Exactly.
We need to know
Exactly.
how the decision came about. What are the factors involved? We don't know about that.
We don't.
You know, the airport issue and all other issues that, you know, the ferry and all those things that are happening, we don't seem to know. Government make decisions. Yes, you know, when you elect people to govern for you, they make decisions on your behalf. But also, those decisions should be transparent to us, the people.
To report to us.
And that is the issue. It seems like there has been an issue with the government. And, you know, lack of transparency, telling us what is going on, and, you know, just addressing it. When we talk about it, they come out and issue press statement or go to the radio and debunk some of the things. You know, it seems like that has been, you know, the norm, and we still continue like that.
Yes, because we are not holding them accountable enough. Parliament should be breathing down their neck by now for information. It's not happening. Civil society, the political parties, we should be on their back. It's not happening enough. So they get away with murder. Everybody seems to be entitled to what you like in this government, and it all boils down to the president for me. He is the one who was elected, supposedly, and he...
Supposedly?
Yes, because we don't believe he won these elections. So you still have an issue with that. You know, so, but IEC said he was. Okay. So, but he is there, he's the president.
Yes.
And all of these things, the buck stops with him.
Yes, that's true.
So why is he not calling his ministers to order? Why are all those ministers continuing to do all of these things which are so wrong? And then he lets them continue. Why? Everybody seems to do whatever you like and get away with it. Recently, we heard that the Minister of Environment is declassifying hundreds of acres of forest, of classified forests under these current environmental conditions. We should be creating more forests, not declassifying them and selling them off. Why is nobody saying anything about that? So they're going to declassify all of the forests and sell them off to developers. There are rumors about Salaji forest going. Is it true? We don't know, but you can't rule out anything with these people because they don't tell us anything. They just put us in front of fait accompli. They just do it and that's it. And then there will be a bit of public outcry for a couple of weeks and then we move on to something else. That should not be. There is no transparency. Anything goes. Any ministry you go to, you have these same issues. Lack of transparency, corruption, lack of accountability, impunity. And unless we hold people to account, the impunity will continue. And if the impunity continues, of course, all the wrong things will continue. The president should think of his own reputation when he goes, what he leaves behind. That doesn't seem to bother him at all. Because the people around him are being blamed for ABC, but it is him. He appointed those people. He should keep them accountable. He should keep them under check. If he doesn't, he is the one who is failing the Gambian people. Yes, the president cannot know everything. Yes, the president cannot do everything. But the president can appoint people who are supposed to do the work. And if they don't do it, well, relieve them of their duty because they serve at his pleasure. Relieve them of their duty and appoint other people. The Gambia does not lack competent experts in this place. We have young, talented Gambians here who are being put in the closet because they don't have the the political empowerment to go ahead.
Right.
Use them.
Yeah.
Use them for the development of this country. Go to any of these ministries. You have very sharp young guys there. Why don't we use them? Go to the security forces. You have young patriotic people out there who are being just kept, quiet and just, hey, just shut up and go ahead and do the work.
Yeah.
Listen to them. Give them the possibility to work for this country and come up with new ideas. You see, this is what we say at the UDP when they accuse of all the ills of Israel. We say we are all the woes of rather not ills. We say we are here to empower every Gambian who wants to contribute to national development. This is our country. Nobody is going to develop this country for us. The development partners and everybody are our partners in development, but they're just partners.
Yeah.
We define our priorities and we sit with them and discuss with them and they come to our aid. And they're happy to come to our aid when they see that we have good, tangible projects which are bankable, which are not white elephants.
The development partners are applauding government. From the World Bank to all of these partners, they say, oh, I always say this. I said, look, I don't care what the World Bank says, that the government, our economy is doing well. I'm not doing well. My neighbor is not doing well. So rice is more expensive today. Sugar is more expensive today. Cash power is extra expensive today.
Exactly.
So I'm not doing well. If they say we're doing well, I don't know what metrics they use, but certainly not human beings like us and my neighbors. So they say we're doing well. All these partners say we're doing well. But look, Dr. Gajigo said to me, look, it's diplomacy.
Exactly.
But, when you look at the numbers,
exactly.
The fine lines, it's not reflective of what they, it's not there.
No. We were all in the development community. We know these things.
Yeah.
It's not the job of the IMF, the World Bank, the African Development Bank to come and castigate the governments, to come and call them out.
Yeah.
That is done behind closed doors. You tell them where they're messing up.
Yeah.
But the diplomatic language which comes out in these press releases, read between the lines. You'll see what they're saying. Nobody in his or her right mind today will tell you the Gambia is doing well. We are not. As you said,
I'm certainly not.
the Gambian people, talk to Fatou, how much she pays for electricity, how much she pays for
my biggest
for telecom services. You're not doing well.
No.
Nobody is doing well.
Yeah.
Ask the lady who goes to the market to buy food for the family if she's doing well. She's not.
Yeah.
Ask the young guy who's trying to survive if he's doing well. He's not. Ask the people whose stalls and the rest have been broken without anything provided for them to move to make a living. Are they doing well? They are not.
They're not.
They are not. Even when they try to do a good thing, they do it wrong. Clearing the roads, for example, it's a good initiative.
But
you just break those people's stalls and throw them onto the street
and arrest them
and and provide nothing for them to go where they can work and have a living for their family. These people live from hand to mouth.
Yeah.
So you throw them into the street, you throw them into poverty, and it's like become an area council to do something, you come and arrest them. They develop an area, you say this area doesn't belong to you, stop the work. When they're trying to clear your mess that you did, they're trying to repair what you did wrong. They're trying to give the people a possibility of earning a living, a decent living, honest living somewhere. So you throw them onto the streets from their stalls to clear the roads, fine. You should create a market for them and a space where they can go and earn a living.
Yeah.
You didn't do that. The Kama Area Council says, yes, we will help them, we will build somewhere for them, and even voluntarily.
The government says.
And then you stop those people too because you want to fight them. You see, everything that this government does goes wrong.
For how long, for example, that was supposed to be my last question, but you brought this up. Government, central government and local government keeps fighting to the detriment of us, the ordinary citizen. But, I hosted the Operation Clear the Roads people here with one of the victims from Brikama. And, at some point, I was upset because I saw videos of women being arrested, people being handcuffed, and just because, for what?
Yeah.
Because, if you're taking everything that I have I'm just going to be upset. I'm going to be,
Of course.
a little
Irritable.
resistant. I'm going to be resistant.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you should throw me in the, because I'm thinking about how to feed my family. And then, you see Brikama Area Council wanted to create something, and the governor's office wrote to them to say, stop this, the place doesn't belong to you. And then, but at the end of the day, we all know these fights are political, right?
Yeah.
Among them. But again, who suffers is those women who were crying, shouting when Yankuba and his team were arrested. Those women wanted somewhere to go and sell their products. They want to feed their families.
Exactly.
And they are caught in between these politicians fighting.
And actually, it's not that they are fighting amongst themselves. It's because government is fighting those people.
The government says government says Yankuba is also, always fighting them, always, fighting with them all the time.
Let's look at it critically. Yankuba came to that council. He inherited $10 million in loans. In 100 days, he paid up the $10 million. $10 million left by people who mismanaged that corporation. Because I call it a corporation, not just a council. It operates like a corporation. He pays off the loan. They do the investigations. They find that there are $50 million missing. And they try to have some people removed there's prima facie evidence to say that these people are responsible for that amount of money missing. And government says, no, you can't do it.
They said Yankuba is a lawyer, but he doesn't also follow procedures. Instead of just going online and putting all these things out, there's a procedure set out. That's what the minister said. No. He doesn't follow any of these procedures. The commission, local government commission,
no, he
and
does.
The ministry says he doesn't.
He does. He is a lawyer, but today, above being a lawyer, he's a politician.
Yeah.
He was elected by people.
But he understands
so he has to report to those people.
Yeah.
He has to tell them what is happening. So when he goes online to do this, he's reporting those people. But when they stop those people, they wrote to the commission.
Yeah.
And say these people, there is a strong case against them that they have been involved in embezzlement.
Yeah.
So we want to have them suspended while to do the investigations and eventually removed. The commission dragged its feet.
Yeah.
In the case of Basse, we saw it were removed quickly. Yeah. In the case of Brikama, they dragged their feet.
Yeah.
So Yankuba, what he's supposed to do, sit back and just hang on and wait. No, he's a politician now. Above a lawyer, he's a politician. He has people who elected him, who empowered him because they wanted him to do something for them. So he has to go back and report it. It's the transparency we're talking about. He is going to these people and said, you elected me to do this. I am not able to do it because government is fighting me, is doing that. So he reports to them. That's how it's supposed to be. So now, when he reports to them, they say, no, he is talking too much. Of course, he will have to talk.
Yeah, reportation.
You are battering him and preventing him from doing his job. I don't want him to say anything. It's just like we say in our local languages, you can't beat a child and stop telling him you can cry.
Yeah.
They are battering him for trying to do what he's supposed to do, what he's elected for, and when he complains, he says he's complaining. And when he writes to the commission and the rest, they ignore it. And they keep fighting him all the time. It's supposed to be complementarity here, not adversity. Come to him as your development partner in this region, help him accomplish what a local council is supposed to do. If he succeeds that, both government and the local authority take credit for it. So if government makes it easier for them to work for the Gambian people, because that is the ultimate thing. He is working for the Gambian people with his commission, with his council rather. Make it easy for them to serve them. We all have the same master, the Gambian people. These are who our masters are. So if you are working for those people and the central government is supposed to be working for the same master, make it easier for Yankuba to work. Make it easier for Talib to work, etc., etc. Help them build what is required to take the country forward, to take the areas forward. But what do they see? Or if Yankuba succeeds, if Rohim Malik Low succeeds, if Landing Sane succeeds, if Talib succeeds, it's UDP. Yes, it's UDP.
Because UDP wants to be in government. What UDP, because your party leaders several times have said, if you want to see how a UDP government will look at what Talib is doing in KM.
Exactly.
Look at what Rohi is doing in Banjul.
Exactly.
Look at what Landing is doing.
In LRR.
This is what he used to say.
And
now government will say, now that you are using your councils as a benchmark, we are not going to let you deliver.
And that is the wrong attitude.
This is a political game.
They should be saying,
because you're trying to take power from them.
You know what?
So sometimes you understand why they play this game. Sometimes.
No, they should be competing on positivity. They should say, okay, if you want to see what NPP government can do, see what we are doing in Ministry A, B, and C, and they step up, to the plate and just up their game. But we shouldn't be pulling each other down. We should be competing for positivity. Hey, Yankuba is doing this, Talib is doing that. We'll show you what we can do in an NPP government. And you make your ministries perform. And you make your ministers perform. You make the SOEs perform. You make GAMCEL perform. You make the ferry services perform. So we say, okay, yeah, UDP can do this, but government is doing that too. So we compete on that.
Yeah.
We should not try to pull the others down because simply you cannot perform. That is the wrong attitude. And what UDP is doing is showing us, the Gambians, what is possible with good attitude, with good policies, and with a good direction. The government doesn't have any of those. They should actually emulate what these councils are doing and step up their game. That's what they should do, not pull everybody down.
Talking about pulling each other down, one thing I've said it openly. I mean, Talib Bensouda is doing a fantastic job. I love his leadership styles. Yankuba is my kind of guy, my kind of politician, the Gasta guy, Usman Sonko guy. I'm all in for that. I like politicians who are very proactive.
Exactly.
So you have diverse group of people. Yankuba, that guy who will say, no, I'm not taking any of these things from anybody. And Talib, the diplomatic guy who say, let's go to work. And you have all of that in your party. And that brings to my next question. In between, you said 2026, you guys are going to take the country.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of hurdles to get to there.
Yes.
In fact, inside the party itself, how do you call it? Within the party. Number one, Mr. Dabo has not said anything. He hasn't said if he's going to run, if he's not going to run. At some point, we had indications he might not run. But it seems like now, the old man is not, he doesn't look like he's putting the boots down. He doesn't look like it.
Okay.
And we have also seen the young people being really interested in this thing. You talk to Talib, I'm going to make a president, he just smiles and act like he didn't hear it. But we know what is there. We know it, right? You see Yankuba Dabo's team are saying, look, Yankuba won with 77,000 and Yankuba is this, he's a lawyer, he's this. They are pushing him to that place, right? We have seen Rohim Malik. A lot of people said the reason why he and, there's issues within him and Talib and all this is because she also wants to be, the first female presidential candidate.
Why not?
Party leader. And that is something we all say, yes, why not? Women can do it. Now you have these different factions in your group. That is the fact. What we have seen recently, even the party leader acknowledged it one time. There was this story that Standard wrote when the party leader was speaking and he said the young people should wait, the time, I don't know how he said it. Right now the Talib was on tour, the National Organizing Committee, and we saw a lot of issues on social media. You could see from the different camps, from the Brikama Area Council camps who were saying, why is he on this tour? We saw what happened when the last time UDP had this kind of tour, it was Barrow, and look at how it turned out to be. And a lot of people say, Talib, we cannot have Talib as our flag bearer, blah, blah, blah. And then the other camp are also saying, why not? Already there's this thing there, it's brewing. And the fact is, if it's brewing, it's going to be bad for the party if these things goes really bad. And how can you go to an election and try to bring an incumbent when you have a lot of internal issues going on in the party?
You see, that is the narrative that we hear all the time. But for us, actually, it's because UDP is a successful outfit and a potential government, not even potential, it's a government in waiting. So naturally, ambitions will surface.
Yeah.
People want to progress, there's nothing wrong with it. Mr. Dabo is the consummate Democrat, and he's not saying anything yes, because the flag bearer will be decided in 2026. So until then, he is the party leader and secretary general, and he is, as we speak, the putative party leader, putative candidate. So in 2026, other people might come and say, I want to run, and then they throw their hearts into the ring. and then we'll have elections at the national executive level, at the Congress. And
so you
choose.
guys want to wait until 2026 to unveil your flag bearer?
No, that's when it happens.
But if you guys do that,
That's
how
when it
can
happens.
you, if it's somebody new, how are you going to take that person and introduce them to the country if it's not Mr. Dawa?
You remember that Barrow was an emanation of UDP.
But that was a different situation.
In 3 months.
There were a lot of sympathy votes. You remember
Yes.
your party and executive were
Yes.
all in jail.
Yes.
And people came together and Gambians wanted change because of all the human rights violations. That is totally different from what is happening now.
Yes, but I think what I'm saying is
Yeah.
the UDP has a lot of potential leaders
Okay.
for tomorrow. But I am convinced that our candidate in 2026 could be Mr. Dabo. I'm convinced about that.
Okay.
And I work for that.
For
I
Mr.
don't
Dawa.
even hide that.
For Mr. Dawa to be the
Yes.
candidate?
Yes. I don't hide that.
He tried how many times?
That's not the point.
Okay.
How many times did Abdullah Wade try? How long was Mandela in prison? It's not the amount of times you try. It's what you can achieve when you get there.
Okay.
The number of times of trying, for me, is even resilience and determination. You can throw spanners into my works, you can do what you want, I'm going to come back and come back until we change this country. He could have said, hey, you know what? I'm tired, I'm going back to my law practice, you guys sort yourselves out. But he's continued to sacrifice everything he has
Well, Mr.
for
Manneh,
this country.
are you also concerned that, I know if you look at the UDP, all these years, I haven't seen any time where any faction comes out and say, you know what, honestly, I think it's time. We wish Mr. Dabo doesn't. You talk to some people even below, those people who are not saying up there, they'll tell you, look, I mean, we love the old man, but I think it's about time. We're just waiting. We hope he doesn't continue to run. They tell you this, behind the scenes. That has never happened. A lot of people think now, as an elderly statesman, he should guide the party, still be the party leader, but when it comes to the flag bearer, maybe give chance to someone else. That has never been the case in UDP, but now you have a faction that is saying that. Don't you think you guys should consider that also?
You see, I'm not sure the factions that are supposed to be saying that are really UDP, because
Actually,
the people who want to change
there are a lot
UDP,
of UDP people who say that.
Well,
I talk to a lot of your people, and a lot of people say that too.
okay, well, then we want to hear them say it in the open, because normally people who say that are people who are not out in the UDP who want to change our leadership for us. We say, if you want to change leadership, come join the party. In 2026, we'll select our party flag bearer. But you see, those people who are in the party, some is normal that they might want to come and be the flag bearer. But everybody knows the pedigree of Mr. Dabo.
Yeah.
And nobody in the party today can stand a competition with Mr. Dabo for flag bearer.
Definitely.
So I don't think anybody's going to come
He
out.
will win it hands down.
Yes, I don't think
And
anybody's
that's
going to
why
come
everybody
out.
thinks he should be the one to say, I'm leaving. Because if all of these people say, if Mr. Dabo is standing, I'm not even touching it.
Yes, I don't think anybody's going to come out in 2026 to run against him. And I know Mr. Dabo, from all we've seen him do, when he wins in 2026, we're probably going to have the Mandela kind. Come put the country on track, have his legacy confirmed, and hand over.
But the question is, can he win?
He
Can he win?
He will win.
What has the party changed since the last election? Because, for example, let's say during Jammeh's time, we said, the level field was not level. There were a lot of intimidation and all other stuff. 2021, everybody thought it was a UDP win. Like you asked me, I thought
And it was.
a UDP win.
It was.
But you guys did not win. 2021 to 2026, what has changed? What is UDP? I don't see anything that you're doing differently.
What has changed is that we have put in place soft infrastructure to stop the stealing. 2021, we won and we were robbed of our victory. And that will not happen again. That is one of the fundamental changes in the party. So our victory will not be stolen again. That is a fundamental change. The other change is that the party has brought in even more people who are working very hard behind the scenes to refine our policies and programs, etc., and get ready. We are putting in place young, dynamic teams doing a lot of campaigning on the ground. We are putting in place a youth wing, extremely vibrant, that is doing a lot of legwork. The campaign and organizing committee is gearing up to start talking more and more to the people and explain to the people, we have more and more people on media, explain to the country what is going wrong and where we are getting it wrong and how we can make it better. We are going, another thing that has changed, we are selling our 5-point agenda. We're moving with that now to show the country what we can offer. And we are showing the country what the UDP municipalities and local government authorities are doing to change this country. And this is what a UDP government will do on steroids. If we can do that much at the local level, when the government is fighting us, when we control government, imagine what more we can do. So these are the things that are changing the UDP. And the Gambian people see it. They see the amount of corruption that is going on in this country. They see the amount of carelessness about the welfare of the Gambians. They see the spoliation that's going on, all our assets being sold, people being driven out of their places where they earn a living, everything going through the roof, the costs. And government doesn't seem to care. Bring the budget to a point where you cut down expenditure and try to invest better. No, it's not happening. Cut your administrative expenditure and increase development financing. A capital expenditure budget is not happening. Cut down the wastage in government in terms of travel, in terms of vehicles, in terms of unnecessary offices, in terms of unnecessary structures being created, which are becoming budgetivores, just consuming the budget for nothing. And use that money to do other things, like building infrastructure in the communities, in the municipalities, in the hospitals, in the clinics, in the public service sectors, in the police and security sectors, to make the Gambians feel much more secure. What do you do in terms of developing the youth, to give them hope, not to travel to the back way? All of those things are happening in the country, and the Gambians are seeing that. And the government doesn't seem to have any response at all. They don't even seem to care. They don't even seem to care. But UDP is out there telling everybody, hey, this is what is going wrong. And before it gets too late, let's get our act together. Let's save this country. This is all we have. When you go saying that, of course, we know you will create a lot of bad blood for some people, because some people are enjoying those privileges. So when you say that we have to change this, they're unhappy. As they say, when you start telling the truth, be prepared to have people who will hate you. But somebody has to tell that truth. And when we tell this truth, what we are hoping for is that the government will change its ways and start doing the right thing and compete with us for development. Compete with us on positive grounds. Not compete with us to break us down, because that will not happen. So instead of fighting our municipalities and local government authorities, why don't you try to do better than them? That's what we expect from the government. Yankuba is achieving that much. Talib is achieving that much. He's achieving that much. Do better than them. Make your ministries and ministers perform. So you can say, hey, you know what? Talib did this, Yankuba did that, Landing did that, Rohit did that, but look at what we are doing. Show the Gambian people what you are doing better than them. And then we compete on that. We would want to compete them by saying, hey, you did this, you achieved that, but we think we can achieve better and for less. You said you build roads. At how much did you build them? At what cost? We can build them much better and cheaper. You said you're going to build a hotel for the conference 2020, the Islamic Summit. Where is it? Okay, you did 400 rooms. We can do 500 rooms, 600 rooms for that cost. That's where we want to compete with them. Okay. But it's not happening.
It's not happening.
They are competing on how to destroy, not how to build.
And they're busy recruiting your people also.
Yes.
Thank you.
That is what they wish.
Mr. Manneh, thank you. It's always amazing talking to you, having these conversations. It's always very, very refreshing talking to you, especially on national issues when it comes to the economy and, and other stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's
once
my
again,
pleasure.
Final message to the Gambian people.
Final message to the Gambian people is we are in for building the country. We are in for making the lives of the Gambians better. We are not in to fight the government or Barrow or anybody. We do not hate any of these people currently running the government. What we hate is what they are doing to the country.
Okay.
What we want to change is the destruction of our national assets and our national property that is happening. We want that to stop. We want the Gambian people to be taken care of, our health sector to be improved. We don't want 100 million going to the healing our senior civil servants and the rest. We want that invested in our economy, in the health sector, so that we can all get treatment here. We want NAWEC costs to come down. We want GAMTEL costs to come down and GAMCEL being allowed to grow. We want the airport to function as it's supposed to function. We want all contracts signed with concessionaires at rest to be reflective of our national interest, where we need at least 49% of the interest in those stakes, not 10, 15, 17%. We want to own our national assets. So when government negotiates these contracts, negotiate in a way that the Gambians win. If we have win-win contracts between us and the other development partners and private sector people who come in from the country and abroad, we all win, and it's much, much better. You cannot give all our assets away and expect us to be happy. We took ages to build these assets. Let's build them better. Let's make them perform better for the Gambians. So when they accrue revenue for the economy, we tax our people less because we have income to invest. We take less loans, so we have less loans to pay. We become much more independent because we are in a position to negotiate better contracts. But this government doesn't seem to be able to do that. So vote for UDP in 2026 and let's change this country. We must love ourselves. We must love our youth. We must love this country's future. So that is my message.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic.
Let's be realistic. And thank you very much for always, even at the shortest possible time, always be able to come and talk to us. This is what we expect from especially politicians like you, who, especially not just a politician, but people who have vast knowledge to be able to share with the Gambian people. Thank you very much always for always sharing our platform. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, and to the technical team and entire viewers, good night to you all. See you next week, inshallah. Bye-bye.
Airport Residency Estate is a gated community located in Old Yundum, proudly developed by Swami India, perfect for all looking for a quiet life with luxury amenities within an enclosed setting. When talking about the benefits of living in a gated community, safety and security is top on the list. They allow extra privacy, take away the hustle of unwelcome solicitors, and create a safe haven for children to play in a trusted environment without traffic or speedy vehicles. A great sense of community develops through the meeting at a controlled communal leisure facilities, offering an integrated lifestyle. A green environment and well-managed communal areas are keys to higher home standards, elevated quality of life, and better property value should you consider home reinvestment in the future. Added to all is the location, just next to the airport and reconstructed main road, yet tucked in the tranquility of nature. Our purpose is one: your satisfaction. Contact us. Let us help you build your dream home in the Gambia.
We are happy to announce the launch of our new logo. We have evolved since our incorporation in 1997, and it is time to refresh our new look to reflect who we are today. Before I reveal our new look, however, walk with me while I take you through our journey of the last 25 years. Trust Bank was incorporated on July 3rd, 1997 and began operations on October 1st, 1997. Following the collapse of the parent company of its predecessor, Meridian, the CBG stepped in and recapitalized the bank and held the shares in trust, thus the name Trust Bank. In 1999, the first investors who responded to the IPO and paid $1.50 per share received their maiden dividend of 50 bututs per share. In 2000, the bank fully paid back its investment by declaring another dividend of $1.20 bututs per share, making it a cumulative dividend per share of $1.70, which was 20 bututs above the purchase price. Between 2002 to date, share capital has increased from $27 million to $200 million, indicating that the bank has grown organically by plowing back profits to increase capital, while at the same time paying dividends to shareholders. The bank was listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange in November 2002, being the first ever cross-border listing in the sub-region. Now let's talk about awards. The bank was awarded the insignia of the National Order of the Republic of the Gambia, ORG, in the year 2010 by His Excellency the President of the Republic of the Gambia. During the past years, the bank has received so many national and international awards. Banker Magazine, 6 times. Global Finance, 6 times. Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, 5 times. We began operations with 3 branches. Now, we have 18 branches and 20 ATMs and counting. On digital services, mobile app, check. Online banking, check. Transaction alerts, check. Watch this space. We've got more coming. Creating employment, yes, we've got that too. 400 and counting. And we take great care of our people too. Medical insurance, life insurance, private and state pensions, annual pilgrimages for both Muslims and Christians, training, yes, we do them all. One team, one family, one goal. That's the Trust Bank spirit. On corporate social responsibility, we have spent over $50 million in various causes. We care, and so we share. Over the years, we have paid over $1.6 billion to our shareholders, which translates to a whopping $20 per share and counting. Phenomenal returns for our shareholders who purchased at $1.50. Corporate taxes, over $1 billion is paid. Our journey started with a vision to create the kind of company that delivers quality services and innovative products with an inspired team dedicated to serving our customers, our environment, and our communities at large in the most caring manner. We remain fully committed to delivering excellent services to each of our stakeholders, customers, employees, shareholders, and partners. So, we remain true to who we have always been. As we look forward to greater achievements, we are rebranding to reflect who we are today and the future that we inspire. Our new logo has been designed to visually demonstrate our Gambian heritage and the sophisticated nature of the bank. We are moving away from the navy and gold-colored parallelogram-shaped logo to our baobab tree with a rising sun in the background. The striking outline of a baobab tree at sunrise is a familiar sight to anyone who has spent time in the Gambia. Our new logo and visual identity are inspired by our core values and spirit of being a pioneer in providing a unique banking experience. It is a completely new look that better matches the transformation we have made as a company. But we remain your Trust Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor to present to you our new logo and corporate identity.
Every day is a new opportunity to make sure our first impressions are always our best and to see possibilities on the horizon. To make our facilities and services more accessible and find freedom all around us. With a location proximity to active markets, with a liberal air transportation policy. That daily pursuit is how we turn everyday opportunities for you. For all destination marketing support, customized packages for new existing airlines and operators, and for a highly ranked tourist destination, the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority is here to serve. We regulate air transport, operate and manage BIA technical requirements, merged with commercial considerations. We have experienced and well-trained aviation professionals to cater for your needs. For investment opportunities in building airport hotels, shopping malls, playground for children, do contact us on 4472-831, 4472-893. Gambia Civil Aviation Authority. We go beyond daily.